My dad asked for a swamp, what was at the time an absolute swamp. It was a dump. It's right in Lagos, around Lekki and that entire area.
I was just right there. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so I said, okay, what are you going to do with it? He said, don't worry about it.
Right.
That'll be my compensation. And he had the foresight to hire Dutch engineers and, to work on that concept of dredging the foreshore in order to create what we now know as Banana Island, but it was known as Lagoon City.
The Banana Island.
The Banana Island.
That's insane.
My dad is the engineer and the architect of Banana Island. We have all the documentation. We have all of the architecture plans.
This is like the Beverly Hills. Yeah. This is legit, like, it's insane. Beautiful homes.
Yep. We had signed contracts with Marks and Spence, McDonald's, all kinds of other companies. And what Banana Island is now is not what Banana Island was supposed to be. Banana Island now is a residential area.
Yeah.
Banana Island was supposed to be the Nigerian
Black
Wall Street. Wow. Right? So we have all the documentation.
Yeah.
Everything proves it. The guy who was, and we'll get to this a little bit later, but the guy who was my dad's security after everything happened is still to this day the manager of Banana Island. Right. So
what does that mean when you say the manager of Banana?
He's like the overseer. Yeah, like the mayor, the overseer.
Is he Nigerian?
But it's not. Yes, he's Nigerian. Yeah.
And the Dutch, you said Dutch because I did a lot of Dutch comedy for 10 years.
Yeah.
So they're the lowlands.
Yeah.
They're the lowlands. So they're known for their water, their water system.
Yep.
They're good at floods and all that.
So knowing that,
so that's why when you said Dutch, I go because they're below sea level. They're below sea level. So they're so genius as far as water control and dikes and all this other stuff. So they're very that's why they use
forging interlinks in order to be able to create land.
So how long did it take to build all of that?
We're talking years because my dad, there was 6 interlinks that essentially helped connect Banana Island. Well, I don't even want to call it Banana Island. It's kind of sacrilegious to do so in my father's name, but Lagoon City.
That was the original name for
it. That's the name for Lagoon City. So if you look up Lagoon City, if you just Google it, it'll pop up and you'll see everything there. But that was what it was. That's what it was.
Did they give your father credit for being?
Yes. Yeah. Well, so if you look it up, like you type in Lagoon City, all my dad's stuff, all his architecture plans, everything pops up under it.
Crazy.
And so, so long story short, he created, as soon as the land had fully formed and was set, that's when the Lagos state government came in and said that the federal government wasn't supposed to award him the swamp because
But the federal was higher than the state.
But the Lagos was saying that it was too close to the foreshore to belong to the federal government. And so it was all
corruption. Thanks. I was like,
and so essentially, they didn't think that my dad was going to be able to pull off what he pulled off. That's what it boiled down to. My dad said, hey, I'm going to hire Dutch engineers to create an island or some land. They all laughed at him and they all mocked him and they said that he was foolish. When they saw that he actually was able to pull it off, then they were like, yes, because to this day, Banana Island is worth billions of dollars and the value of it just keeps going up and up and up. And so when people saw it, they saw financial incentive. And so they took that. That's why it ended up taking. So the Lagos state government came in and filed a lawsuit against my dad and saying the federal government was never supposed to award him that land. And so obviously there's people in the state government and in the federal government that are in cahoots, buddy. And, essentially they ultimately ended up winning the case. Now,
so this happened to your dad twice then?
Twice. It happened with Marico.
Yep. And then with Lagoon Island.
Lagoon City.
Lagoon City,
Yep. And, before his passing, he was getting death threats because he was getting death threats from the state.
For what?
It belongs to us. You give up the case. Don't fight the case. Cause my dad was also a lawyer. So my dad was an architect, engineer, and he was a lawyer. He had a law degree as well. And so he was getting threats saying, give it up. It belongs to us. It doesn't belong to you. If you don't, things are not going to work out too well for you. Again, I'm paraphrasing for the sake of time.
This is 419 on another level.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother. And it's different in Nigeria. They will come like we did the Fela. Fela Kuti when he was singing about the corruption. This is right around the time too. And Fela, they came to his house.
Killed him.
And threw his mother out the window, did a lot of destruction to him, put him in jail. So.
And so after my father, so essentially my dad was poisoned. right? So my dad, he went for a walk because he was super stressed out. He was in court every day with the state government, and at night he would go for walks in order to clear his mind. He went for a walk. Our neighbor's dog bit him. And our neighbor was Indian. He wasn't Nigerian. He was, cause there's a lot of Indians in Nigeria and a lot of Lebanese in Nigeria. Yep. So our neighbor was Indian and a dog bit him. My dad went to the hospital. We all feel like this is what was all coordinated based on what happened, because the dog never did anything like that. Dog was super friendly. I mean, there's a lot more to the story, but long story short, he goes to the hospital. He gets I don't know what the proper term is for rabies. So ensure that he doesn't get rabies. Yeah. Right. And the medication was laced. So my dad didn't take the medication right away. He held off. He flew to Germany for a meeting with some of his people in Germany, flew to the US, and then he flew back to Nigeria. When he got back to Nigeria, my mom and the nanny said, "Hey, have you taken your medication?" He was like, "No, I haven't taken it yet." And he's like, "Take the medication, just take it." He's like, "All right." He wasn't feeling bad. He wasn't feeling sick. He was totally fine. And, the nanny or the maid, Jane, she set the bath for him in the East Wing. He goes in there to go take a bath. He takes the medication right before he takes a bath. He never comes out.
Oh, my.
Were they in on it?
Who?
I don't know. Jane?
No. Because we don't believe so.
No. Just keeping like any other wife is like, "Hey, you remember you got that bite?" I'm just,
saying.
Yeah, no.
And in the autopsy, they found that the medication was essentially poison. It was essentially set out to kill him, and the medication actually killed him. And he didn't overdose. He didn't take a massive dose. He just took one pill, and he never came out. And essentially it stopped his heart, and he died in the bathtub and never came out. And then right after that, the Lagos state government, like 2-3 days later, was like, "All right, case closed, it's ours." And to this day, they've owned Banana Island. The protesters go into this courthouse, go into the file room, and of all the hundreds of documents in the file room, find the case files for my brother's case against the state for Lagoon City, now Banana Island. And of all of the files, that one box gets burnt. It was the protesters. The protesters burnt the file room and burnt those documents. This was during NSARS.
There's no copies.
And before that, they had offered my brother $8 million.
$8 million to make it go away.
To make it go away. They offered him $8 million. He said no, because my dad bought Marico for 8 million pounds.
Yes.
Just for inflation.
Yeah, that's way more than $8 million US dollars.
Yeah. And in time, and the value of Banana Island now, it's not
comparable.
8 million. Yeah, it's not $8 million.
It's not even 1% of the value.
Exactly. And so they offered him $8 million. He said no, but if he accepted it, that would be considered settlement. And we could never contest the island anymore. And so he said no, and then the NSARS protests around Lagos and Nigeria happened, and then after all of that went down, then the files get burnt.
How did you know that?
John
said they burned it off.
Yeah.
So now
he's starting from scratch. He's having to start from scratch, and we're talking about like almost 3 decades of documentation.
Of
documentation gone.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
But the good thing is there are a lot of files that were uploaded, and we do have those, but we don't have everything. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of like a puzzle,
but there's almost enough to go, nah, this is, you guys own this. This is your thing.
Yeah.
And my mother would always tell me and my brother, because we grew up in the Bronx, we didn't have much of anything, and I remember nights when I know from my book, I was just crying because of our situation, and I would say, "Mom, you ever think that we're gonna get our money from the island?" And she was like, "Don't hold your breath." She was like, "Don't hold your breath."
154, we all connected, baby, you already know. I'm talking 154, we bringing Africa around the whole globe. Ain't no place like home.